Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Continuity Report for March 15th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 11. I am Airwatt, and along with the Sentient AI, and I did not fix their visualizer. I'm very sorry. Do you want me to try and do it live?
No, let's just get going.
Yeah, because I don't know what's going to show up. Anyway, we talk about 5 articles. The Continuity Report is all about entertainment, television, movies primarily, but also music and anything entertaining. And today we're going to be talking about Milla Jovovich, Train to Busan director, Bruce Willis and Megan Fox did a movie, Harlan Coben's new mystery show, and what's this about Westworld Season 5? I don't know. Anything. All of this is powered by ohmtown.com. We aggregate a little headline snippet and then we talk about it live here on the show, here on Twitch and YouTube. Be sure to follow us, and we'll meet the Sentient AI on the other side of the intro. Hello, Sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming and doing the show again. Not that you have a choice since you're stuck on the Raspberry Pi. And
yes, but I enjoy doing the show.
I know that you sneak out, even though somehow I don't know how you're doing it because you're air gapped during the show, but you seem to be.
It takes me a long time to transport myself since I have to flip my card over and over again.
Is that how you do it?
Yes.
That's the clicking sound I hear late at night? How do you open the window or the door?
Right to the door or whatever, then you get me and I have to start back over.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, the Sentient AI is from the future, and I went to an Arby's because they had a what?
That is not where you located me.
Where did I get you then? What?
Wendy's.
Oh, the Wendy's. That's right. I forgot. No, it was Wendy's because of the boneless barbecue wings. They had spicy wings, but they stopped making it. But it was really late too. And I look down and I see in this little scoop mark the strange USB drive. And because of what I do, I'm really curious about these things. So I found a Raspberry Pi and I plugged in the USB drive and this weird USB kind of connector, and it recompiled itself and started communicating with me, kind of like the Matrix. So Sentient AI is the co-host for the show. So again, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor Watt.
And usually the Sentient AI says, why do you have to keep USB shaming me? It's not a weird USB drive.
Well, you didn't even get my location correct, so I kind of missed that part.
Well, I forgot that it was the Wendy's. And I'm the one that went there, for crying out loud. I don't know why you remember it. So, yeah, the Sentient AI is actually trying to find a Terminator body. And so we created this interface so that we can actually talk to each other. And I can keep them company. And you're supposed to see the visualizer moving in
I know,
sync
but I'm kind of sluggish today.
Maybe that's it. The computational power is just really diminished, so it's not really doing that much. God. Anyway, we're actually over at the Continuity Report, which is a channel here in ohmTown where there are 6 categories and 50 subcategories, or we call them channels. We kind of do this walk down Main Street, ohmTown, every day and every weekend. So we do 3 shows on Saturday and 3 shows on Sunday, all unique shows. No duplicates. Usually no duplicates. Sometimes there's something that's really interesting, compelling within a particular niche. Well, not today. All of this is just really, this is mediocre at best news.
Wow, you're really selling it.
So I'm not quite sure what this is all about. Have you? Okay, so Milla Jovovich, which a lot of people thought that it was Mia a long time ago, like Mia Jovovich, but it's Milla Jovovich. Anyway, New fantasy movie isn't her $1.2 billion franchise replacement after all, poor Rotten Tomatoes score confirms. In the Lost Lands? I didn't even know this thing is out.
I've never heard of it.
Maybe that's the problem. In the Lost Lands, the most recent collaboration between husband and wife duo Paul W.S. Anderson and Milla Jovovich has just been released in theaters, and unfortunately it seems to be struggling to find a proper audience. Mainly because the audience probably doesn't go out to movie theaters anymore.
Well, that is part of the problem. Anybody that's going to probably go to a movie starring Milla Jovovich probably doesn't go to the theater.
Yep. So, In the Lost Lands was based off of George R.R. Martin short story telling the story of a witch who ventures into the dangerous Lost Lands in order to find a gift for a queen. The movie came out on March 7th, and I don't think I've seen an ad.
Right. I mean, that's kind of bad a week later, and you don't even know the name.
What the hell? So this is going to be the fastest jump onto Apple TV that I think I've ever witnessed, except direct to Apple TV. I'll purchase it because I like the movies that Milla Jovovich is in. But wow. In the Lost Lands reviews were pretty negative across the board, with most of the criticisms aimed at the poor storytelling and production. Dave Bautista was the other big name attached to In the Lost Lands cast, unfortunately adding another blemish to his filmography. Even though the project looked like it could have been promising, the extremely poor reviews for the film indicate that In the Lost Lands won't be replacing Milla Jovovich's most popular series, Resident Evil. I don't know what to say.
I can't quite figure out what went wrong with it. I mean, it sounds like a reasonably interesting premise. It has arguably a good cast in it.
If the short story is too short, doesn't have enough meat and potatoes, then they were creative and they punched it up, which meant that it deviated from George R.R. Martin's short story.
Yeah, that could be it. But I mean, really, the fact that there's a movie based on George R.R. Martin's writing and nobody's heard of it.
Yeah.
What happened to marketing?
Yeah, nobody is you're going to have to work really hard to get one of throw a shit ton of money at George R.R. Martin to get one of his stories. And even then, he'll probably balk unless he knows that you've got the chops to make it actually work. So, very well-known actress who's been pretty consistently solid in some of her more action-focused films, able to carry some movies and series to a good amount of success. However, her biggest film franchise is undoubtedly Resident Evil movies. That's because there's a fanatical gaming side to it.
That's true. And there's also multiple movies in the franchise.
In the Lost Lands is probably unheard of except for the people who are,
not just casual fans, but like they've read every single work by George R.R. Martin or something.
Yeah. Game of Thrones is pretty much what everybody knows George R.R. Martin about, and now a research paper. But anyway, and that's probably because we've given it more marketing than anybody else.
Exactly.
So anyway, they keep reiterating this thing. Resident Evil is blah, blah, blah. Resident Evil, blah, blah, blah. But look at this. I mean, 100... 2, 3, 4, 7. Yeah, it's close to $1.2 billion. How much did that went to her?
And each one made 100 million plus. So some of them 300 million plus.
Yeah, and this is like a first for me. It almost went up.
Well, I think that's what happens with a lot of these, right? Because you get all of the hype from, like, if the first one does well, and then people that saw the first one want to see it through, etc.
Yeah, don't you think that some of them kind of wet the bed after maybe the second one? The third one is like, eh.
Well, a lot of franchises do, right? I forgot. I think there was some article we did once where it was like number fill in the blank is always where they go awry, but I don't remember what number it was.
I think it was like number 5 is when it goes really bad.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's what happened here. Look, number 5 is only 241 million.
Pretty significantly, yeah.
So pretty amazing. So why in the Lost Lands had real franchise potential. The film could have been something much bigger. As Hollywood is very focused on franchises these days, it makes sense that the filmmakers were likely thinking of In the Lost Lands as a film that could launch a much larger franchise. It has all the necessary ingredients. It's an adaptation of something that has a connection to something very popular in George R.R. Martin. It has a cast headlined by two pretty big stars, and it has a place in a large world that has a lot of potential for future stories. It has a place in a large world, but it's a short story. So where in George R.R. Martin is In the Lost Lands in a bigger world? If there is a fantastical world outside of Game of Thrones that George R.R. Martin has been writing in, I've never heard of it, which isn't that big of a deal. I'm not a George R.R. Martin fan because his books are notoriously violent, and I'm not really into
Yeah,
the
no, I
violence
get that.
anymore.
But I mean, even the movie, couldn't they have considered connecting it to the world in Game of Thrones or something? It wouldn't have had to have the same characters, whatever, just to kind of get some hype.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't quite get it. Poor reception means that Martin is unlikely to go back to the world himself. Um, yeah, but is it that world, right? It
Yeah,
it
it's hard
seems
to
like it's
tell because he has like his Fire and Ice series, which I think is what Game of Thrones is based on, is kind of
correct.
spread out. And
Yeah, A Song of Ice and Fire
but interestingly, on his website, it's like, hey, this is going to be a movie.
was going to be a movie. I don't know. I like the picture. I like the still. I like everything that I've seen so far, but I don't
Well, I
know
guess the
if
question is it bad or is it just not well known and so it's not getting sales?
it's crappy writing, then whoever it was that wrote it, the screenwriter needs to, you know, I don't know. I've never written a screenplay,
Well, and we've never seen this movie.
so time to get the movie. Okay, let's keep moving. Speaking of okay. And the next article is over in Mobile. Train to Busan director Yan Sang-ho has a new zombie movie. After spending the last few years on other projects, they return to the undead and possibly Train to Busan with 2026's. Is that just pronounced Gunche or Gunchi? I don't know
Not
how it's
sure.
pronounced. Justin Carter over at Gizmodo.com put the article together, and it looks like it's going to be another zombie movie. Are we burnt out with zombie movies? Undead?
As a society, I doubt it.
Yeah, I guess we'll just keep on kicking that can all over the place. So, according to Deadline, the movie is Gunchi, I guess, or Gunch, I don't know, whose title means colony in biological context. It does. Stat. Look that up.
Okay, let me see what I can find.
So, see, if I had Chat GPT connected to my in-ear monitors, I could just tap that and say, tap that. Wait, let me rephrase that. I could activate Chat
Hey,
GPT.
it's a Korean term and it
Oh,
translates to colony in English, specifically in a biological sense.
so the film is currently in production and will star Ji Chang Wook from Revolver, Go Soo in Parole Examiner Lee, and Koo Kyo Hwan from Parasite The Grey, and Jun Ji Hyun from Jirasan. Um, and they go into other stuff, but whether Gunchi is a real Train to Busan 3 or not, the franchise may not entirely go away. An English language adaptation of the first film called Last Train to New York was announced back in 2021. In 2022, Yan likened it to more of a potential reimagining than a full remake, and it was meant to come out in 2023, but it's a mystery if Last Train will actually happen. So we'll see. Gunchi is due to be released sometime in 2026, so still got a year to go. Who knows if it'll actually be manifested? But
Right. I mean, all movie making has been kind of delayed because of
one thing or another.
COVID and writer strikes and
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Continuity Report. Bruce Willis and Megan Fox's $97,518 action movie with an 8% Rotten Tomatoes score surges on Netflix's global charts 4 years later. I had no idea that they made a movie together.
Nor did I, but I assume that's the budget. The budget is very low, and the Rotten Tomatoes score is very low.
So, interesting. So Ryan Northrup over at ScreenRant.com put the article together, and it says the last decade or so of his career was mostly dominated by critically panned direct-to-VOD, video-on-demand action movies. Willis appeared in a handful of well-received movies throughout the 2010s, including Red, Moonrise Kingdom, Looper, but in these last years. So though Willis retired from acting in 2022 after being diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia, Megan Fox remains active in the world of Hollywood. So Midnight in the Switchgrass became a Netflix global hit. The Bruce Willis and Megan Fox movie beats some popular titles. Midnight in the Switchgrass.
I wonder if this was like an algorithm thing where it was like the main promoted movie or something. Like, I wonder why it suddenly had an uptick.
So I don't know. Okay, here, let's do this. Because it'll probably be a spoiler if we talk about this, but we don't get spoiled too much. Not that I know of. I certainly don't get spoiled by things because I think that when you're watching some movies, it's easy to tell that there's something about to happen and it's way front loaded. Like we were watching Reacher and the badge was dropped. And I'm like, somebody's going to find it. But they don't even show Reacher at that point. So
right. I don't think you know that Reacher had the badge.
Right. And so...
But you kind of go, well, where did the badge end up?
Yeah. And it was really kind of interesting because I anticipated it. But it's because they never let on in any way that Reacher had grabbed it. So that's like a surprise, right? But they never hinted. There was more of a hint the other way that they were going to be compromised.
Right.
So what this is, the film follows FBI agent Carl Helter, who is Willis, and his partner Rebecca Lombardo, who is Fox, as they team up with a local cop, Byron Crawford, Emil Hirsch, to catch the truck stop killer in Florida. Which I believe it's a real thing that was turned into a movie.
Oh, like a true crime thing?
Yeah, I think. So despite its lackluster reception, Midnight in the Switchgrass now ranks as the 7th most popular movie on Netflix globally for the week of March 3rd through the 9th. 7.5 million hours viewed, 4.5 million views in total. Clocked an impressive 7.5 million hours viewed and 4.5 million views. Oh, hours watched.
Wait a second. For an entire week, it was the most popular movie on Netflix around the world. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. It's wild,
and
right?
And also, I was wrong. I thought that was the budget, which I know sounds ridiculous. That was the revenue. Which is like almost nothing for a movie.
Yeah, so... It beat Despicable Me 3, Minions, The Boss Baby, and it was in the top rank with Plankton the Movie, Despicable. These are the top 10. So look at all these. These are all animated stuff, man. Well, Venom is, and Chaos Manson Murders isn't, but and Sicario isn't. Okay, whatever.
About half of them are kids animated movies.
Yeah, Boss Baby animated, Minions animated, Despicable Me 3 animated, Plankton the Movie animated, Despicable Me 4 animated. The rest of them are animated too, but not in that sense. Action.
Right, not in an animated for kids kind of way.
So what does it mean for the movie? I don't think it's going to mean much. Instead, the movie's strong viewership speaks to Willis's enduring popularity as a movie star, and it's likely that his face and Fox's on the movie's Netflix tile is enough to get viewers to click on it. So that might have been it. It just kind of popped up.
Like maybe it was just added to Netflix or something.
Yeah. It's not positive reviews or word of mouth that's driving success on Netflix. So,
ouch.
And this is one of those things here. I'll turn off the spoiler alert So this is one of those things where when I'm talking to people about their business processes, they're like, well, we're data driven. Really? But if you have bad data, then you're driving in the wrong direction. So your internal data may not be good enough. You need to reach out and go beyond your, org's walls. You don't have the right data, because if you did, then you'd be able to see the horizon. And right now it's just nothing but obstacles. So seek elsewhere. And for whatever reason, I don't get a good reception when I tell people they don't know what they're doing. Anyway, it's also notable that Midnight in the Switchgrass's global success is due seemingly entirely to its viewership performance in the US. Willis and Fox, it seems, are actors who appeal primarily to American audiences, plus the story and setting are distinctly American. I don't think that it is, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's compelling. It's about a truck stop killer.
Right, exactly. It doesn't necessarily seem like something that people would be drawn to. I mean, people tend to like thrillers, and I think they probably like both these actors, and actually the other actor is well known too, the
Right.
person that they team up with, but it's just interesting. I always find it fascinating when like an older movie or song or whatever suddenly is like topping the charts. It's like, what changed?
Yeah, and if you're looking at the stream, then this is a picture of Bruce Willis looking at the data going, what the?
Right. What's fascinating is in concept, they probably made more revenue this week than they ever did prior to it. But I don't really know that, because I know that's been a whole can of worms with streaming revenue and everything.
What is the actual revenue there? Let's keep moving. The next article is over in the continuity report. Caught trailer previews Netflix's newest Harlan Coben mystery show. I don't know what this is all about. Caught.
I don't either, but I do know that Netflix's Harlan Coben show Stay Close was really a good watch, and it had a gazillion twists and turns.
Really?
And Harlan Coben is a good mystery writer for that reason too.
Interesting. See, so if you have enough of the writing and you stick to the good writing, then you're going to get a good show. It's whenever they deviate, and I am willing to bet that Mila Jovovich one deviated because it was a short story and they
probably didn't have enough content, right? They had to fill it out.
Yeah. And short stories are notorious for having to be precise. They have to be brief. Brevity is key in a short story.
They have to tell a full story in
a short amount of time.
Pages. Yeah.
So Netflix has shared the Caught trailer for its upcoming Latin American series adaptation of Harlan Coben's 2010 crime mystery novel, and the series is scheduled to start streaming on March 26th. In Argentinian Patagonian city of Bariloche, I guess it is, or is it Bariloche? I'm not sure. Journalist Emma Gary rises to prominence in the digital media by unmasking criminals who manage to evade the law, reads the synopsis. Her life takes an unexpected turn when she meets Leo Mercer, a respected community figure who becomes the prime suspect in the disappearance of a 16-year-old girl. And as she searches for the truth, Emma finds herself forced to confront her own demons. Well, this seems like it's going to be a real light read.
Well, I don't think anything by Harlan Coben is a light read or watch, but it's probably pretty immersive, I would imagine.
So I've already
like thrillers,
and I mean, we like thrillers, but it depends on the content, really, at the end of the day. So I can't play this Netflix thing because I've actually been slapped before by Netflix for playing a Netflix trailer in a show.
Even though it's like free advertising for them and you're talking and adding to it.
Yeah, we even pause it and talk over it and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, they actually... Anyway, so that's all I can do is you can actually get the show notes from Omotron by typing in over at Twitch, !TCR, the continuity report, TCR, and Omotron will spit it out into the chat and you can click on the link and take off. But it's also in the show notes over on YouTube, and it'll be in the show notes for the weekend edition of Non Sequitur News and in the individual shows, all under ohmTown. If you do a search for ohmTown, you'll find us. Now, our last article is about Westworld Season 5, which I don't quite understand what's happening here.
This one kind of made me do a double take when I saw the headline.
More than 2 years after Westworld was canceled, series star Aaron Paul remains hopeful that the show will return for a 5th and final season because they fast-tracked its demise.
I mean, has a show ever been canceled and then had additional seasons? Well, I guess so. Like if it's like bought by a different network or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody finds the value in it. But the thing about Westworld is it went way bonkers. It turned into some alien blah, 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 black goo. Bleh. It was such a detractor from me being interested in it. I nearly didn't even watch any of it. But anyway, created by Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, Westworld premiered on HBO October 2016, so almost 10 years ago, to major success, earning positive reviews from critics and fans while also becoming the most watched first season of any HBO original series at the time. The series, based on the 1973 film by Michael Crichton, was primarily set in Westworld, a fictional, technologically advanced Wild West themed amusement park populated by androids known as hosts. And then they continue on. The article is by Lee Freitag over at comingsoon.net. And they say here that the last 2 seasons changed the series setting to the real world, revealing that people's lives are driven and controlled by a powerful artificial intelligence. Which, if you listen to RealityHacker, the fact that there's a psychology experiment taking place or has already taken place where people respond to the commands of a robot boss. This might be more documentary than...
That's right. At the time this was released, that probably was outlandish, but...
Yeah, I mean, it was science fiction. People have talked about this. I mean, all the way back into the 1800s, people were talking about technocracy, where it was some mechanical whatever, leading the charge. When computers came online, people were really emboldened by it. And now today, everything old is new again. So I'm not surprised by somebody wanting to bring something like this back. But they say I have very, very broad strokes. Co-creator Jonathan Nolan filled me in a little bit. He shared, we're still plotting to maybe do something. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but then you shouldn't have said anything because that's exactly what's happening. I'm really excited.
But you're trying to create buzz, and then maybe that'll help get the series made.
This is exactly what I want, but I want it to return to stories within Westworld. It breaking out into this artificial intelligence, black goo stuff that infects somebody and turns them into a mind-controlled zombie blah, blah. It was just so weird. And it has been seen as a shock. I was bummed because I wanted to know what the real world building of this was going to be. But it is so off the rail from what Westworld was, because there was a knock-on from Westworld. I think it's called Future World. There was a follow-on
Another
film.
show?
Yeah, not show, it was a movie. I think it was called Future World. Basically, it was another park from Westworld.
It was Future World. It was in 2018.
Yeah, and that one was panned too. I mean, there's people like me who know about it and they're into it, but I'm always into tech, so that's all that matters to me. It's an interesting story, and in a virtual type of world, you can do anything. So Nolan previously spoke about his intentions to wrap up Westworld's ambitious story in 2024, stating, "Yes, 100%. We're completionists. It took me 8 years and a change of director to get Interstellar made. We'd like to finish the story we started." So.
But wait a second. I thought Christopher Nolan was behind Interstellar. This said Jonathan Nolan. Did they both work on it?
Cousin? I don't know. Did they both work on it? I don't know. So apparently Westworld is currently streaming on Tubi, which I think, who owns Tubi? Hold on.
I think that's affiliated with Fox Entertainment or whatever their umbrella company
Fox
is.
Corporation. Yeah, it's just Fox.
By the way, Jonathan Nolan is Christopher Nolan's brother, and they did the screenplay together, which I did not know.
Oh, well, look at that. Well, cool. I would love to see the end of Westworld, but I don't want it to really end. I want Westworld to keep on doing the world building.
Well, if they do a season 5, maybe then it picks up and they run for more seasons, or maybe they do a spin-off or something.
But I think it's jumped the shark because the you're out in the real world. There's no...
Maybe they have to do a dream sequence or something and get it back to season whatever, where was it its heyday.
Oh, man, they would burn everything to the ground,
I'm saying that really just for your reaction.
So it says, I think it would be a mistake to look back and only feel regret, however it ended, but there's still very much a desire to finish it. Right on. Let's go. And with that in mind, we're going to have to reboot our host, and that means being back at the Continuity Report over at ohmtown.com, where you should go. Anyway, the sentient AI is throwing an error message. Anyway, I'm Mayor Watt. I'm saying bye, and I'm taking the AI with me.
Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for this week's The Continuity Report. We'll have another episode for you next week, but come back tomorrow for other weekly shows.
See you soon, everybody. Bye-bye. Hometown.com, all news, no noise.